So another thing that I wanted to talk about was general mental and emotional health during the festive season. So I'm thinking specifically of things like depression, anxiety, and maybe even loneliness during the festive period. So in the West in particular, obviously Christmas is a big celebration time, a holiday time. Most people go back to family, which is why if you don't have family or you're on your own at Christmas, it's particularly pronounced, that loneliness or the fact that you're on your own because everybody else isn't there with family. So that would be the first thing to talk about, is that if you're on your own at Christmas or for most of the Christmas period, how are you dealing with that? Well, depression is often a condition that's kind of characterized by, it seems like it's beyond our control, as though it's a purely biological process, and certainly it is. It has a lot of biological antecedents, so there are a lot of biological reasons for depression. But there are things that you can do. This is not to say that your behavior can't somewhat modify the situation. And I always say to people, one of the things that you can do is, with depression, it is often caused by life events, life circumstances. They take quite a long time to change. But one thing you can do in the moment is to change your, what I call your life energy, or your inner kind of life force. And you do that via other people, oftentimes. So it's about social relationships. You may not feel like socializing or spending time with a friend. The tendency would be to isolate because that feels safest. But actually the opposite is the case. So when we're depressed, lonely, one of the best things that we can do is to push through that and to make arrangements to have some kind of social engagement with somebody. It feels difficult when we're doing it, but afterwards you'll most likely feel better. Of course, it's important to pick somebody who's positive, who's got your best interests at heart. You've got to be careful the company that you keep, but being around other people is has a very tonic effect on depression, and the tendency is to isolate. We feel like isolating, but that doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. With anxiety, for example, it's a bit different. It might be the opposite is true, like large gatherings or having to be around family or something like that during the festive period triggers the anxiety even more. So what things can you do to ground yourself? Could you excuse yourself for time periods, or go for a walk around the block, or take a family member that you're closer to with you for that walk? Or could you break out of the family system, even if it's only for 30 minutes, and phone another friend? So sometimes we talk about families as closed or open systems. Healthy families are kind of open systems. They allow for the input of other people into the family. Oftentimes dysfunctional families are very closed systems, so you get stuck or marooned within this emotional dysfunction within your family. And it's healthy sometimes, say for example, to have a constructive friend who you say, listen, Christmas is going to be difficult for me. Could we have a 10-minute chat every day if you've got time, maybe at around 6 p.m. or something like that? Have an ally like that who's from outside of the family system that you can touch base with. That often helps to be able to then bear the difficulties of the family dynamics that you're struggling with.